If you've done any work in sales at all, then I'm sure you've run into what we call the price objection. And that's when the customer is telling you that project's way out of their budget or they just don't think what you're charging is worth it. Now there's really only two reasons for a price objection. Now, more often than not, the customer can actually afford the product. So let's take out the times where the customer just absolutely can't afford whatever it is that you're selling. But if they can't afford it and they're still pushing back, then I want to tell you there's only two reasons for a price objection. Reason number one is a lack of trust. Now, right out of the gate, they know that you're trying to sell them something, so their BS meter is already up. But there's a lot of things that can be holding them back from trusting you. They may not know enough about your organization, they may not like the way that you're explaining the product to them, or they may not fully understand what's in it for them. These are all trust issues. And if you can design the sales process correctly, you should never run into a trust issue. Now, reason number two, you can also proactively handle, and that's a lack of perceived value. And that's just a fancy way of saying that they don't think the product or service is worth what you're charging. Now, we run into this a lot in the service business because with services more than products, pricing is not always apples to apples. Very often what one firm does or what one service provider does is very different than the other. And no price is wrong as long as you're demonstrating that the service is worth what you're charging, and that's perceived value. So ask yourself, have you fully explained all of the benefits? Have you fully explained the scarcity of the product or service that you're offering? Have you outlined the risks of working with another company that's less reputable or less experienced? Do everything you can to make sure that the value that that customer perceives is in line with the price that you're charging. In fact, you want them to perceive a much higher value than what you're actually charging. So no matter what you charge, whether you're at the low end of the spectrum or the high end of the spectrum, you can actually still seem like a great value. To many people, the Ritz-Carlton is a great value for the service they get for what they pay. So perceived value and trust are a must. If you're getting a price objection, take a step back and ask yourself, is this a trust issue or a perceived value issue? And go to work and make sure that you let that consumer know that you've got the right product or service for their needs.